Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you very much, Eric, Director Dunning, sorry, for your kind words as a matter of an introduction. So I feel incredibly privileged to be here today on stage with the three IAIS Executive Committee Vice Chairs, the three and only, I should say. We've heard a lot about the IAIS today, about its projects and activities. I think today, now, for this last panel, and I see a lot of people around, thank you for staying with us. I think we want to maybe take a different angle and discuss the IAIS as an organization. And with this panel, we want to take the perspective of our vice chair around the role of the association, the work of the association, and as you have said in your introduction, Eric, also what's happening behind the scene. But it's not going to be a simple Q&A. That's not the idea. What it's going to do is that as a moderator, I'm going to propose statements. I have a series of statements. And I will ask my fellow panelists, using their paddles, you have these very nice paddles, to express whether they agree or disagree with the statement. And I may ask some follow-up questions to try to unpack what you have behind your agreement or disagreement. And I should say that among the statements, some of them may be a bit lighter. But we will try to do the same exercise of transparency, whatever is the topic, hard topic, or maybe more lighter topic. With that, just to check with you whether you are ready.
Totally.
Okay, so let's start. My first statement will be the insurance sector and its supervision are well understood compared to other financial sectors. Oh.
I'm going to be different here.
I'm a little bit panicking because usually we have a consensus at the IAIS, so what shall I do?
Oh, that's your problem.
I know. All right, so maybe Siham first?
Yes, thank you very much, Romain. So compared to other, actually I disagree because compared to other parts of the financial sector, insurance is often seen as more complex and hard to access and less immediately relevant. I know that is a kind of perception, and this perception is shaped by a mix of factors, in my opinion. Limited visibility or affordability of insurance products, low public awareness, and the fact that the benefits of insurance are often only felt over time. So that's why, for me, it's quite complicated and not well understood by the public.
So, Andy, you were having a different position.
Yeah, I'm a little different, only because I'm looking at it, A, primarily from a U.S. perspective, and B, the comparison that you mentioned, compared to the other parts of the financial sector, because I don't think people really understand financial regulation anywhere. At least with the insurance system, they know they can go to their state insurance department, they know we set the rates, they know who to yell at, and all of that stuff. And believe me, they yell all the time. I hear it. Any insurance department person can tell you that. If you look at the other parts of the financial sector, it's much less transparent. Let's start with that. But it's also much less understandable to the average person. The average person knows you go, you stick your ATM card in, and you get money. But what happened in between the time you deposited that money and the time you got that money, and what rules would the bank have to follow? I don't really think people understand that. They simply take it for granted.
All right, very good. So maybe we need to move on now to the second statement. International standard setting is an easy process. All right, that's the IAIS I like, consensus. Yeah. But a bit negative. So, Petra, could you elaborate a little bit why you say it's not an easy process?
Well, I think there's a difference between not an easy process and that it's negative. And I think what we do in IAIS is in a way not even that far off what I do as EIOPA with 27 member states. And I think John said it very well in his opening statement, and thank you for the invitation. I think it was somewhere along the line that with the same sense of purpose, you're contributing, thinking that you deliver something good. And I think every supervisor does that. There's no one single supervisor that does it, and they do that in a certain way. And then all of a sudden we decide that we should do it together, and it should be convergent, and is it comparable or not? Is it the same or not? And then it gets difficult, because what you do, I think in the understanding, each and every supervisor, that you do something good for your market, for your consumers, in a way that works. And then you need to come together to one standard. And that's difficult. But it should be difficult, because I think we believe in what we do. And then through that difficulty, you need to talk to each other, you need to listen to each other, you need to find way forwards. So if that was easy, it would mean that you either don't take it serious or you don't listen to each other. And I don't think that is what we do. And that makes it difficult, but I think it's part of the process.
Andy, anything to add? Or?
I completely agree, so I won't add to that.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go now to more fundamental questions. So I have never gone back to my hotel room during a coffee break at an IAS meetings for a quick power nap.
What does this mean? Do I say this mean I have?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. No.
Yes,
No,
I have.
I haven't.
Well, no, I've never. So I've never. If you disagree,
You're right. Yeah.
Never have. I just go pour more coffee down.
Oh, no, I do.
you do?
I can recommend that.
It depends.
all right. Okay. Does that make the standard setting process more easy?
We're reaching towards consensus here.
Okay. Very good. Next statement. One of the most valuable benefits of the IAIS is to be a venue for relationship building among supervisors. Petra, I cannot see you. Oh, green, all green. Fantastic. Siham?
Yeah, I completely agree. One of the IAS' greatest strength is its role as collaborative space where insurance supervisor can build strong, lasting relationship. So the diversity of the IAS is well illustrated now. So in this panel, so with the vice chairs from 3 continents, each representing markets at different stages of development. It's powerful reflections of our shared commitment to the global cooperation and the balanced representation. Happy for that.
Very good. All right, let's continue. Next statement. If the IAIS were to develop the ICS, the Insurance Capital Standard, all over again, it should do it the exact same way.
I'm not sure.
All right. Excellent. Andy?
It's been an interesting process, and as we know, over the past 13 years, there have been a number of discussions, and I use the word discussions simply because there was no blood, but it got really, we had some really strong discussions, and we shared our feelings, shared our thoughts based on the different systems that we had. And I will tell you, there were times during that, and I think we've all been there were times during that whole process where we did not know how it was going to end, or if it was going to end on a positive note. There was lots of data calls, lots of discussion. That's the good part. I do think if we were going to do it all over again, we would probably start off by trying to find consensus as to what we were trying to do at the beginning, as opposed to reaching towards that at the end.
Petra, what is your view on that?
Yeah, I had read, and I don't believe in looking back and then saying, what if we'd done it differently? I think it went as it went. And I'm not even sure if you can plan to do it better the next time. But I think in the end, and I alluded to that before, it's a really difficult process. And because it really matters to every one of us. And we all come from a way that we do things that we really believe in. So that will inevitably be difficult if you care. And I think this community really cares about what they do, how they take care of consumers, how they do that in their market, for their markets. then at the same time we did manage to find each other. Now, there is one city which name was mentioned a lot, but I wasn't there at the time, that maybe that wasn't so friendly, I don't know. But again, I think you can't change how you did things. You can look at the outcome and you can learn lessons on how you want to do it then going forward. And we still have a lot to do.
All right, very good. Let's move on now. I understand at least 50% of what an actuary does.
I do.
All right. So it seems that it's a bit stochastic, the result. So all right, so Petra, you understand at least 50%.
Well, let's say that I can actually have, and I had that in the past, particularly at DME, I had very in-depth discussions with triangles and data and programming to actually get to where we are now in Europe with Solvency II. Because while that was created, we all had to learn how they work together with the actuaries. Yeah, I must say when I started it, I didn't even know what an actuary was. So I made progress. But yeah, I think, no, I think I can really understand where they are, what they do, and I cannot replicate it, for sure. That's the other 50%. Yeah.
Andy, anything?
Oh, no, I love talking. I've got some great actuaries. Love talking to my actuaries. Love it when they speak English or, a non-math language. But then when they start explaining how they got to where they got, that's when my eyes glaze over and I go back to my room to take a nap.
Oh, that's very good.
All right.
I just trust them.
Okay. Well, I must say that as an actuary, I remember when I was trained as an actuary, my teacher told me, remember always that whenever two actuaries find the same result, one has made a mistake. So let's move on to the next statement. So the public has a good understanding of how insurance serves a societal purpose of building resilience. How we see a bit of the same differences here. Petra, you don't seem to be convinced that, no.
No, I think a little bit back to the other question also. I think, and we're working on that now also, at EIOPA, but I think we can help each other also in the IAIS on that. I think people know that they have to get an insurance and that it is expensive, and there's these jokes about how they will never pay. There's always sharing, and not when they actually really helped you well, but when you didn't get what you expected. And then there is another more political discussion about what insurers could do with all the capital they have or should do. I never hear talk about, and this is why we're starting a process, that by having the data, analyzing the data, it's a very efficient way to deal with damages in society. And it is a way to share the burden and thereby have peace of mind and continue with business. I don't think that anyone, if you stop them on the street and say, are you having a good day? Yeah, is that because you know you're insured? Now, that would be a very weird question. But I think the reality is that that's the case, and I don't think that it's fully appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, Andy?
Yeah, I think the industry, and I include all of us in that statement, can do a better job of communicating to the public. Mm-hmm. Certainly as we look at NatCats. It is one thing, I think the public understands what happens after the disaster. Recovery of the industry is there, and that's fine, that's what they expect. But as we move from simply, covering the risk to mitigating the risk to mitigation resiliency, we still have a ways to go in terms of educating consumers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as a supervisor, I think that we have a shared responsibility to improve transparency, education and communication so that people better understand what is how insurance supports both economic stability and social resilience.
All right. It's a somehow related question or statement. It has never been easier for consumers to access insurance than it is right now.
Hmm.
Oh, all green. Fantastic. Petra?
Yeah, I mean, you go online and you purchase insurance, and we couldn't do that. So it has more to do with technology, frankly, than availability. I think technology is really going to help to access insurance if you want to.
All right. The IAIS Global Seminar should return to an in-person. Okay. All right. Maybe we need to update the agenda of the next expo then. A memo to be developed. All right. So let's move on. 10. At this stage, technological innovation is causing more challenges than benefits. Oh, you disagree, Andy?
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I do think that innovation in general is a way that we are going to reduce the coverage gap. We've got to have new products, we've got to have new ways of reaching people, we've got to have new ways of both defining and mitigating risk. Yes, there are challenges, but there are going to be challenges with any use of innovation, any use of new technology. And here, when I'm leaving the hotel, I grab an Uber. It's not just, we're not limited to taxis. We've got more opportunities, more options, and that's what I think, what I would like to see technology bring to this industry.
Totally
Okay.
agree.
This one is going to be interesting.
Uh-oh.
Especially after hearing Connor on that. Protection gaps can be closed completely. Okay, you all disagree. Petra, you want to say something on that?
No, I think you can never 100% cover for a risk. That's you're an actuary.
Yes, I know. But the organizer was smart not to give me a paddle. So, all right, you can never have too much data.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then the consensus, but some hesitation. Petra?
Me? You can have too much data. You can have too much data. I think we come from a time where we thought that if we just give a lot of information to consumers, then they will make the right choice. I think we start to see that you can give too much information to a consumer, and they either still make the same choice / wrong choice. So, and I think you can give a lot of data to supervisors, but I also think that if you ask supervisors to focus, they might be able to achieve the same goal. So I do think in a more data-driven world, more data-driven is needed, but there is a point where you also need to say, okay, this is no longer efficient, and we can achieve the same goal with less.
Andy, I see you.
I agree with what Petra said. More data is in general good, but you also risk at a certain point it becoming counterproductive, it becoming too inefficient, that the paralysis of analysis steps in. And whether you're a regulator or a consumer, you don't make decisions because you're faced with this huge data wall.
All right, about the risk of having too much data, maybe the next statement. I always read and review all IAIS Executive Committee meeting documents.
Maybe.
You see how much transparency is very important for us.
Yes.
Petra, you want to elaborate on that? You always look at me and say,
no, but it also assumes that if you are going to an executive meeting, then it's just you, and not the entire system behind you. I think all the good people at least in my authority and the people that work with us. So there's a lot of work before a document gets to an executive committee. And it might well be that by the time it gets to the executive committee, I've heard about the paper, I know the paper, I get the highlights, and I move on. So I think it's not that if you have to still read everything for EXCO, then maybe you're also very late in the process, frankly, I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
Siham?
No, I totally agree, because we have a lot of people participating in other meetings. So on my team, for example, they are in other committees, so I have the important things that I should have, but reading all these documents, sometimes it's exceeding 1,000 page of documents. It's too much, but there is some strategic things that I can read.
Okay, maybe Andy?
Oh, no. I may not read it all, but I do appreciate the availability. How does that sound?
Too much data.
Okay, very good. Next statement. The IAIS could be more proactive in addressing and leading the way on emerging issues. Okay. All right. Petra?
I think, and this is the challenge, I think we come there often with our national mindset, and I can appreciate that if you have risks that you are already addressing. But I also think with the new risks emerging, and there's many risks that we all face, or potential challenges, technology, where I think we would just be quicker, wiser, if we share. So operational resilience, the protection gap risk, particularly on the NatCat side, but also the technological changes. I think if we can share more and focus more, just to build actually the resilience of the supervisory community. And I think these areas should be relatively easy because it's about risk, and it's about new risk. So there shouldn't be too many vested interest and practices already. And I think if you focus on that, I think we can really help each other be faster, smarter.
Andy, you agree?
Yeah, I think Petra has it right. If you look back at what's happened, and this is not a criticism of the IAIS, let me be clear on that. If you look back at, since 2008, for instance, the IAIS has pivoted. It has managed to respond to everything that's come up. Perhaps what we need to do as we go forward is to respond faster. And as Petra said, if we're sharing more information, if we each bring more to the table, we can do that.
And maybe Siham?
Yeah, I totally agree with Petra and Andy. A lot has been done for sure, but we can always do more.
All right, but doing more, there's always a question of resources. So maybe I'd like to hear from you about this statement, balancing IAIS priorities and resources and ensuring value across IAIS broad membership is not always easy.
True.
Okay. I don't think there's a need to elaborate a lot, but...
Yeah, I mean, I completely, it's, as with any organization that's dealing with a topic as important and as broad as this, you are going to need to prioritize. And if we look back, again, just looking back on history, for the past 13 years, we've been focused not to the exclusion of everything else, but we have been focused on one subject that included or that impacted a subset of our members. I do think that with that resolved, and as we move into implementation of the ICS and the aggregation method, it is time for us to once more start looking to the needs of the significant number of our members who are from the EMD sector, for instance, and really had nothing. They were not part of the aggregation method ICS discussion. It's just not their market. We need to do more for them. We need to be able to do more just in terms of, if we look at the ICPs, we look at training and education.
Yeah, maybe Siham, because of your role of representing the MDs.
So balancing diverse priorities and limited resources across IAS-wide membership is indeed challenging. Different jurisdictions face varying risks, development stages, and supervisory practices. But however, through cooperation and inclusive dialogue, the IAS can optimize resources, allocation, and tailor initiative to maximize impact. So that's why we are working all together in order to find this balance between the subject that we are facing.
Okay. We are coming close to the end of this the list of statements, but I think one is important. As a global regulatory community, we are better off than we were 10 years ago. Oh, good. Good. Andy?
Well, I think that one good outcome of what we've gone through is that we've developed that level of trust, we've developed that level of understanding. We know that we are not going to succeed. I think President Gottfried said it in his opening statement or in his opening speech. We won't proceed alone. We proceed together. And that creates the necessary, not sure if you'd call it a network, but that provides a framework that we can use. And the framework today is better than it was 10 years ago.
And Petra, you do agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree, and we really have to. I mean, groups are operating cross-border, and insurers, supervision of insurance is here it's state-based, but it's jurisdiction-based. But we still have to deal with those groups, and the way to do that is actually to work together. And I think that is better if you know each other, if you had discussions, maybe even if you had tough discussions. Maybe you learn to understand each other better. But if it wasn't for the IAIS and the work I did there, I would know a lot less about the market here, the differences between the states, but also other parts of the world. How do they do supervision there? What is important? Why is that? What is the specificity of the market? What is the sense for supervision and for insurance in that market? What are still the needs? I don't know everything, but I know a lot more than I did if I wasn't in the IAIS in the first place.
Yes, I agree that the global insurance regulatory community has made significant progress over the past decade. Enhanced cooperation through the IAIS has improved supervisory standards, increased market stability, and promoted inclusive insurance initiative, especially in emerging markets, and this is really important. So while today challenges remain, this progress lays a strong foundation for continued collaboration to bridge protection gaps, because this is important now, and build more resilient society worldwide.
All right. Almost the last one. I have never used ChatGPT to develop answers to panel questions.
Not yet.
Where's my phone? I'm checking.
You just gave me an idea.
So you disagree with I have never, so you have.
Oh, no.
Okay. You are not embracing technology?
I love it.
Using technology.
Okay, very good. So the very last one, but not least, the moderator of this panel was absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to my fellow panelists.